This video shows you how to get rid of bats in Ohio with information about services, laws, costs, DIY, and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources.
So right now we're on a bat job. We do bat control. We do it environmentally responsibly because we use a one-way valve system and we don't use any pesticides or chemicals.
Who gets rid of bats in Ohio? The Cottom's Wildlife Removal Company commonly removes and excludes big brown bat maternity colonies from homes throughout the state of Ohio because they hibernate in the winter in attics and walls. These colonies range in size from 500 to 700 bats. The only allowable methods of bat removal and exclusion in Ohio are non-lethal exclusion devices or materials that allow the one-way passage of bats out of the home or structure. The use of glue traps and sealing all entry or exit points while bats are inside the structure are illegal.
We have several guys here today doing the exclusion from the ground level up to the top of the house.
My wife and I, we heard scratching in the middle of the night to the point where it would keep us up. So, being able to have some good night's sleep coming here soon is going to be great.
Having a lot of guys and having a really qualified, great crew that we have, we're able to take on these very large projects that there's a huge need for. And one or two guys would not really be able to do a job like this. So having the equipment and having the properly trained crew is kind of what we're specializing in because it's the right way to do it. It's the right way to solve the issues, and that's how we want to do it. You can't trap the bats or anything like that, so you have to exclude them. So we've really specialized in sealing up houses for bats. Being able to find all those small gaps. Bats can fit into a gap the size of a pencil. And a lot of these materials on a house are flexible, so even though it looks like it's smaller than that, the bats can expand it to get in. So we're really experts at finding all those areas and sealing them up so that the homes are sealed up for bats long term. And then also with that, getting the bats out at the same time, so we're not blocking the bats in the house, which would be extremely inhumane. So we're able to get the bats out humanely and also solve our customers' problems and make their homes safe again.
We don't actually catch bats. We use a one-way valve system that allows the bats to get out, but they can't get back in. It's a very passive way. It doesn't hurt the bats or harm them. Done during the right time of the season, which means when there's no young ones, you can use that one-way valve technique.
When can bats be removed in Ohio? Individual bats can be removed from houses in Ohio year-round. However, according to Ohio law, a small colony of 15 or more bats cannot be removed between May 16th and July 31st because this is the time of year that young bats cannot safely fly away. The Cottom's Wildlife Removal Company gets rid of bats throughout the state of Ohio all year long. However, we do not exclude colonies of bats, 15 or more bats, from homes, apartments, structures, buildings, and businesses in the Buckeye State between May 16th and July 31st to protect the flightless pups.
Our common protocol on every job is to go out and greet the customer, make them feel like we're there for them, and also do a good thorough inspection, which involves the ladders, which involves looking up on the roof and checking all the areas and doing a good thorough assessment of what the potential problems are, what the animal is, and then how we can help the customer.
But when Mike came, he really gave us a sense of, security. He understood what he's talking about. He articulated things very well, like he's very well spoken. He just, you could tell he's educated, he understands what he's doing. And he really listened to what our problems were and, tried to help us figure out what to do and how to solve it. And it's the first time that we had this level of support and quality and what we're looking for.
Whenever these issues happen, they're very time sensitive. People don't want raccoons in their house or don't want bats in their house for very long. So we stay stocked so that as soon as these issues come in, we're ready to address them as soon as we could possibly get out there. Right now we have 6 vans running full time on the road, adding more all the time. no matter what we face throughout the day, the vans are ready to go and ready to address the problems as fast as we can.
With this exclusion that we're doing here, whenever we're trying to rid of any animal, bats included, from a home, we want to regulate their movement. So this crosses off this exit path, forcing and regulating their movement through the only available option, which would be through the bat valves that we have installed on the home.
With the bat valve that we put in place, we strategically place it so that when we seal up a house, they're forced to go through the one opening that we allow them, which in this case is the bat valve. And what's beautiful about it is really once we've done all our work with the house, the bats do the rest of the work for us by simply leaving. And then through the bat valve, they can't go back in just because of the way it's positioned. Because with bats, they need a horizontal space in order to fly and to land. But with the bat valve, that restricts them from having that horizontal landing space. So from the inside, they can crawl out, but from the outside, they can't land and go back into the bat valve. And a lot of times, too, bats will follow the scent of the sebum, which, of course, the main area that they're going in and out of, that's typically where they're leaving the most sebum, or body grease. So that will automatically attract them to the spot because we do put the bat valves where we find there's the most active entry. And so long as the construction shares all the attic spaces, so like none of the attic spaces are separated, then we can just use one bat valve.
So we're doing these soffit return patches. We're using aluminum trim coil, okay? So basically what we're doing is putting a wedge in there. It's going to act as a final piece of soffit, as well as it's going to be secured to the roof.
This is our training tool here for bats. It helps us to train our technicians. And basically some of the areas that you would look for are underneath the shingle line, where the roof line comes down. Also, you want to check underneath your power ventilators. You want to check your roof vents to make sure they're secure and tight. And what we would do here to fix this is put some trim coil flashing up underneath the shingles, and we also screen these power ventilators, and then we would also screen these roof vents.
So this is just some of the coated screen that we use so that we can custom make any size vent that we need to get covered, whether it's a custom chimney screen or a custom roof vent. We can custom make it here in the shop and take it out and install it on site.
I know our roof isn't the easiest to work on. It's got, you know, a 45-degree pitch, and those guys are up there scaling it, and they're really doing a great job, so I was pretty impressed.
Typically, we give a situation like that about 2 weeks. Realistically, though, it doesn't really take that long for the bats to leave, but we do like to allow that generous amount of time, just in case. Once we're comfortable that they're all gone, we can come back out, remove the bat valve, and then seal up the last area.
Bats are pretty much, can get into a house any time of the year. Normally, most of our calls come in August because that's when the attic heats up and gets very hot, and it sends the bats down into the living space of the house. So even though the bats have been there for several months, or sometimes several years, they're not likely to be seen other than the months of August and September. That's when our customers see the bats, and that's when they call. Sometimes bats are caught in the homes by people with gloves. A lot of times the bats will be flying around the bedroom at night. It got in somehow. Most bats come in from the attic and they work their way down, and people catch them. And you can release them outside, but one of the issues with bats is if the home hasn't been sealed up yet and you release a bat outside at night that you caught, it might just fly back in.
If you want to know how to get a bat out of your house and what to do if there's a bat in your house, Google "what to do if there's a bat in your house" and read the page on the Humane Society website titled "There's a Bat in My House." Most DIY bat removal home remedies don't work out in the long run for Ohioans. Although many people try to get rid of little brown bats and big brown bats naturally in Ohio with cinnamon or essential oils like peppermint oil, this is a risky and frequently futile option. The fastest way to get bats out of your house, attic, walls, and chimney is to hire the bat removal specialist at Cottom's Wildlife Removal to perform bat exclusion services. Do not try using mothballs, dog or cat repellents, ultrasonic deterrents, natural bat repellents, fake owls, or aerosols because they don't work. If you have an established colony of bats in your house or attic, the exclusion process is the best choice. The bat exclusion process begins with finding all the entry points and sealing every exposed gap 1/2 inch or larger. The process of exclusion involves using netting or tubes at entry points, which allow the bats to drop down and take flight, but which confound re-entry. The excluders are left in place for 2 weeks so that the bats give up. After they're gone, the plugging and sealing and caulking can take place.
To get rid of the bats, we have to put on an excluding valve. And in the state of Ohio, that cannot be done in what's called the blackout period, which is from May 16th to August 1st. So during that time, we do not put any valves on because the bats are having their young ones and they cannot be excluded, because you'd be separating the adults from the young ones who are not leaving the attic. But we're after that time now, so on this job we will be putting on a one-way door to exclude the bats.
If it's a maternal colony and there's females and they're raising their young ones, you can't exclude the bats simply because the young ones aren't flying yet. And if you put a one-way valve on like we do, it won't allow the young ones to get out.
If it's determined to be less than 15 bats, the bats can be excluded if it's not a maternal colony, things like that. So Ohio went to the blackout period for excluding the bats, mainly just because it was an inhumane practice, but then also just to help with the bat population, which is in decline, specifically because of the white nose fungus, which a lot of them are getting, and it's killing a lot of the bats off. So
technically, in Ohio, it's not legal to kill them. And that's something that the Ohio Division of Wildlife oversees and the Department of Agriculture. So basically in Ohio, they are protected. Basically, there's no poisons registered for bats in Ohio, and it's not a good sound ecological process to use a poison or any kind of a rodenticide. There are proven techniques available, which means flashing or caulking as opposed to a rodenticide or a poison.
For complete bat exclusion guidelines, refer to Ohio Administrative Code 1501:31-15-03. How to control bats on your property. If you see bats around your home or in it, there are only a couple of reasons for their presence. As with any other animal or household pest, they choose to cohabitate with humans for 3 reasons: water, harborage, and food. To get rid of bats outside your house and to discourage bats, remove standing water in your yard, whether it's a bird bath, small pond, or an empty container that traps rainwater. Getting rid of the bugs and insects in your yard that bats eat also controls bats. Repelling and excluding bats are the best methods for getting rid of them. Never try to trap, poison, or kill bats. Killing and harming bats is illegal in Ohio, unless a bite or a potential exposure to a bite has occurred. Trapping bats is very dangerous and can cause bats to injure you or themselves. Removing dead bats and bat carcasses is more difficult than excluding the bats. Installing a bat house on a pole or a tree in a sunny area that gets 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight works best to give bats a place to roost other than in your attic, walls, house, or chimney. Installing a bat house on your property can provide a safe environment for bats while protecting your yard from pest insects like mosquitoes, moths, and beetles. Bat houses give females a safe, warm place to raise their young.
I think one of the major issues with bats, although a small percentage of bats carry this, is rabies. Another issue with bats is the histoplasmosis, or the spores that live in the droppings. So once the droppings collect in an area where there is moisture, there could be a transmission of histoplasmosis. Histoplasmosis can be removed by vacuuming and by sanitizing the attic with specialized equipment that removes all the bat guano and then the actual problem of the histoplasmosis is taken care of. One of our services is if the insulation has been soiled with the droppings and the urine, we'll go in and we'll inspect the attic, and when we move the insulation and then replace the insulation with the new insulation, and we'll also disinfect and deodorize the rafters to keep the smell down from the urine soaking in. Some of the more common bats in Ohio that we encounter are the little brown bat and the big brown bat. The little brown bat tends to be more of an urban type bat, whereas the big brown bat tends to be in more rural areas because they eat bigger beetles and bigger bugs and insects that are associated with farming. Primarily, bats are insectivores. So they control insect populations. Mosquitoes are one insect that the little brown bat feeds on. So it is an important agricultural type of control. What we're most proud of is our thorough inspections, which are done in a timely manner. We try to always implement a sense of urgency for our customers. We have a 24/7 answering service, and we do respond 24/7 to emergency calls. We have a staff of 3 office managers full-time, and we have 11 certified techs that are wildlife control professionals.
Today we have our Moral Support Dog Employee of the Month, Hendrik Cottom.
Basically, our facility here, we have 3,000 square feet. We have about 2/3 of that for the warehouse, and then the other third of it is for our office managers. And my son, Mike Jr., owns the business, so his office is here as well. All the years of experience that he got working with me just about every day really paid off for him. Here's Mike Jr. when he was 3 years old. We got a call to get a black snake under a swimming pool. So basically, I took Mike Jr. with me, as he often went with me. We went out and we caught the snake. When we got back to the house, I had him hold the snake so I could take a picture of it. Mike was about 3 years old in this picture. He had diapers on. And basically what happened is when he was holding this black rat snake up, which was about 6 foot long, the snake actually bit him in the rear. But since he had diapers on, he didn't even know it. So I never told him about that either. I kind of kept that secret. So we're very equipped to handle any particular job that comes up. We're also in an area where we're close to 480, we're close to 71, and we're close to the Ohio Turnpike, so we can respond in a timely manner.
This company, my father started in 1986, and just been kind of growing every year. I went full-time in 2012 after college, and we've just been kind of growing from there. Basically just becoming one of the biggest wildlife companies in Ohio, and just growing from there and adding more people all the time. So right now our home base is in Cleveland, so we service Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, any of the major cities in Ohio. Our vans, we carry multiple different sizes of ladders, multiple different styles of traps, different mounting brackets for all the traps, multiple drills, saws, anything that we would need so that we can, specifically mount the traps and the eviction doors wherever we need to mount them at. Multiple different colors of paints, caulks, anything that we have to color match. All the metal is on all the vans. Any metal cutting tools, it's all on the van so that no matter what we face throughout the day, the vans are ready to go and ready to address the problems as fast as we can. Really there is no house that's too big for anything that we could handle. We're really geared more toward larger homes and bigger scale projects because that's all the equipment that we have. We have equipment to handle any issue where we can get the equipment and know how to safely use it. So the larger scale issues are really what we're really designed for and have the crews to handle. Here at Cottom's Wildlife, we treat the animals with respect because we actually do respect the animals. We know a lot more about the animals than the average person would know because we're dealing with them every single day. So our respect level for the animals is very high because we know a lot about them, and they're pretty incredible. So.
Bat removal costs. Costs to remove a single bat from a house in Ohio start at around $399. The average cost of bat removal and bat exclusion for a one-story house is $1,495 to $3,000, $1,995 to $8,000 for a two-story house, and $2,995 to $40,000 for a commercial building or church. Bat guano removal, decontamination, and sanitizing rates start at $895 in Ohio. The cost to remove bats and walls starts at $1,495. Costs to get bats out of attics start at $1,495. Cost to remove bat guano from walls starts at $895. To schedule a bat inspection by Cottom's Wildlife Removal, call 440-236-8114.